Have you ever had one of those moments where your reaction was just a little bit bigger than the moment called for? Where you were a 9 out of 10 and you absolutely should have been a 2? Well, that's me. Every time my husband follows just a little too closely to the car in front of us. In my reaction, I'm sure it's not unfamiliar to some of you. I'm grabbing the door handle, reaching for that imaginary brake in front of me, and I'm completely braced for impact. Meanwhile, my husband, oh, he's over there, totally calm, totally relaxed, thinking, how did I marry a woman with the reflexes of a squirrel? Now, logically, I know that we're safe, but my brain and my body, they think that we're in that accident from 25 years ago. And when I say accident, I'm actually just being dramatic. It was honestly just a fender bender. So how is that possible? 2 people in the same car, on the same road, having been through the same fender bender, but having 2 completely different reactions. Well, in that moment, my past is invading my present. Now, it doesn't matter how many times I say, he's a good driver, he's got this, or that I try to breathe through it. Because in that moment, my nervous system, it thinks that accident is happening now. In that moment, I'm responding to what I like to call emotional leftovers. And I've seen this in hundreds of people I've worked with over the last 25 years as a clinician, and especially in the last 10 since I started to treat trauma. And this is what I've learned. These reactions that we have, they're not just bad habits, and they're not personality quirks. Well, not all the time. But what they are is your nervous system reliving these moments from your past that you're still carrying. You just didn't know it. And we like to think that we're logical, but Harvard research has shown that 95% of the time, the decisions you make, they're based on your emotions. It's only after that you apply logic to it to justify what you do. So when you get hijacked by your nervous system, it's not your fault. It's just your brain's default setting doing what it's created to do, to protect you from pain. And we all do this every day. We're reacting to these leftovers. They're these seemingly small, and sometimes they're kind of sneaky. And they're often overlooked. But they're these smaller moments that our brain just hasn't dealt with yet. And today, it's these smaller moments that I want to focus on. Now, we've all been taught that the goal of healing is to feel better. But what if we have this wrong? What if the goal of healing is not to feel better, but to feel fully? Because no amount of avoiding the pain is going to help anything. What we need to do is step towards it, be present with it, and let our nervous system get this message. That was then, this is now, and we're okay. You see, our brains, they record everything that goes on. The sights, the sounds, the smells, how it feels, how actually you feel. It's like what trauma expert Dr. Bessel van der Kolk says in his book, The Body Keeps the Score. Trauma is not the event that happened, but it's the imprint that it leaves upon your mind, your brain, and upon your body. And when I use the word trauma, most of us are thinking about big T trauma. These are the moments like war, abuse, and catastrophes, things that I think we all would agree, they definitely leave a mark. But today, I'm talking about the small T traumas. These are the moments that sit there so quietly in your nervous system, and they hardly go noticed. It's like that moment that you wanted comfort, but you got criticism instead. It's when you didn't make that team, and as silly as it seems, it's that breakup from middle school. Or it's those words that family member spoke over you, and you still replay them to this day. Now, our nervous system, it does not tell the difference between big T trauma and little t trauma. All it knows is this: it felt pain. And when it feels pain and it's not processed, it's like your brain, it hits this button that says save as incomplete. And then you have this file, and it's just laying there wide open, ready to get triggered. And it doesn't matter if this moment wasn't life-threatening. It still has the ability to shape your reactions and to shape your identity. So maybe you didn't lose your life, but you lost your confidence. You lost your voice. And maybe you didn't lose that job, but you lost the belief that you were capable. And maybe you didn't lose that relationship, but the idea that you were lovable, you lost that. These moments, they don't rewrite your life, but they do rewrite your identity. Because our nervous system, it doesn't categorize by size. It categorizes by impact. I once worked with this woman, and every time her son came home, even just a couple minutes late for curfew, she would completely freak out, yell, scream, take away all of his privileges. She was confused by her behavior. What she didn't realize was this: as she sat there in her kitchen, waiting for her son to come home, her body, it had time traveled back to when she was a little girl, laying there in her bed, waiting for her own mom to come home. In that moment, her past had invaded her present. So when she was yelling and screaming at her son, this was not the mother of a teenager that was showing up. It was a little girl, so scared to be alone. These moments, they don't just sit there, but they spill out into our decisions, our relationships, and they impact the way that we show up. So this boy, when he would feel her anger, he didn't realize this panic, it belonged to another fear. It belonged to another time. All he knew was that he felt small and that her love, it felt conditional. And that's why this work is so important, because it doesn't just impact us. It impacts the people we love and our reactions that they feel. Now, we live in a culture that worships comfort. We have same-day shipping, fast food, and 5-minute meditations. So when it comes to our healing, we don't want hard. We want hacks. We want bubble baths, and we want breathing exercises. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for a good bubble bath, but there is no amount of lavender-scented water that is going to erase my nervous system's reaction to that moment in high school when the mean girl said, "Laurel, I think it would be better if you just didn't sing at all." So much of what we try to do is manage our discomfort, but no amount of soothing is going to take away our triggering. And when these triggers come, they don't usually come at convenient times. They're not coming when you're at that yoga retreat, drinking your herbal tea, just waiting to make connection. No. They are going to show up before you give that presentation, before you take that test, or before you have to have that vulnerable conversation. Or if you're like me, when your husband follows way too close to that car in front of you. So what do we do about these leftovers? How do we give our nervous system the message that this is something that's over? So number one, notice your reactions. So when you find that you're a 9 out of 10 and you absolutely should have been a 2, pay attention to that. And then ask this question: is this really about now? Or is this possibly about something else? And number 2, feel your feelings fully. Now this one's the hard one, because we are designed to run away from pain. So I'm going to ask you, when you notice you have that overreaction, ask this question: where is this showing up in my body? Is it in my chest, my stomach, my shoulders? And then when you feel that, I'm going to ask you to stay with it for just a moment. But here's the good news. Harvard neuroscientist Dr. Jill Bolt-Taylor has found that any emotion at its peak, 90 seconds. 90 seconds is all that it lasts. After that, it's your own thoughts that keep it going. And then number 3, name the moment. So when you're feeling that feeling in your body, I want you to ask this question. Where else in my life have I felt this before? And when you ask that, one of 2 things might happen. You might find that there's a big T trauma laying back there. And if so, that is a beautiful invitation for you to work with a professional on your own healing journey. Or you're going to do this. It can't be that moment. No way. That is so small. How can it be that? It was so long ago. It was ridiculous. And if you say that, it is definitely that moment. And when you see that moment this time, don't minimize it, but allow yourself to just sit there and feel that. Honor that experience, honor that moment, honor what truly happened, because your brain is trying to tell you anyways. And when you do that, the most amazing thing happens. Your nervous system, it goes, it's over. I once worked with a man, and out of nowhere, he developed a panic attack. Panic attack disorder, major anxiety. Well, he came into my office, and he made the connection that his panic had started the same year that his daughter was born. When he realized that, he sat there confused. How is it possible that the best moment of my life is also the moment that started my anxiety? But as he sat there and felt what he was feeling in his body and allowed himself to just travel back and see what it showed him, he saw himself in the hospital the day his daughter was born. And so there he sat with tears streaming down his face. And he said, that was the best day of my life. But it was also the scariest, because from that moment on, it wasn't about me anymore. You see, in that moment, his nervous system, it totally had recorded the joy, but it also had recorded the fear. And so when he sat there and just connected the dots and sat with that moment and honored what that was like, the most amazing thing happened. His panic, it lifted. He didn't have to talk himself out of it, and he didn't have to breathe through it. You see, most of our reactions, they're not about what's happening now. They're echoes from our past. They're these earlier versions of ourselves just trying to get our attention. And when we sit there and just pause and allow ourselves to honor that, it's like something inside of you, it exhales. And instead of feeling better for the first time, you might feel fully. And your brain and your body, they get the message. That was then, this is now, and we're okay. Because one moment of connection to an earlier memory will do far more than years of avoidance ever could. Thank you.